Imagine a world where a sugar pill, nothing more than inert glucose, could shrink a tumor, alleviate chronic pain, or even reverse the debilitating symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Sounds like science fiction, right? A medical miracle, a supernatural intervention, perhaps even a lie. But what if I told you this isn't fiction? What if I told you that in hospital beds, clinical trials, and research labs across the globe, this astonishing phenomenon happens every single day? We are talking about the placebo effect, an enigma so profound it challenges our most fundamental understanding of medicine, the human body, and the very nature of reality. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about healing. To truly grasp the unsettling power of the placebo, we have to journey back to its origins, to a time when its existence was largely dismissed as a mere nuisance. For centuries, the medical establishment largely ignored what it couldn't quantify or explain. They saw it as the patient imagining things, a trick of the mind that muddied the waters of legitimate science. The term placebo itself, derived from the Latin "I shall please," was often used pejoratively, implying a treatment given merely to appease a demanding patient, not to genuinely heal them. It was a footnote, a statistical anomaly, a noise in the data that needed to be filtered out for the real effects of a drug to be seen. Doctors, with all their rigorous training and scientific methodology, found it deeply uncomfortable to admit that a patient's belief, their expectation, could be a therapeutic agent as potent as any synthesized chemical. This resistance wasn't entirely unfounded. Early attempts to understand it were often crude, lacking the sophisticated neurological imaging and biochemical analysis we have today. They couldn't see the endogenous opioids flooding the brain, the shifts in neurotransmitter levels, or the genetic expressions being altered by mere suggestion. So they relegated it to the realm of anecdote, of the inexplicable, a persistent ghost in the machine of empirical medicine. This historical dismissal, however, inadvertently built a wall around a phenomenon that would eventually prove to be one of the most powerful and perhaps frightening forces in human biology. For decades, researchers tried to eradicate the placebo effect from their studies, to isolate the true drug effect, not realizing they were trying to banish a fundamental aspect of human physiology rather than understanding its potential. But the placebo, like a stubborn phantom, refused to be ignored. It kept showing up, confounding expectations, and gradually scientists began to take a closer, more terrifying look. What they found wasn't just a psychological trick, it was a cascade of physiological responses. Imagine patients with severe depression receiving a sugar pill, only for their brains to light up on fMRI scans in patterns indistinguishable from those taking actual antidepressants. Or consider sham surgeries, where patients undergo incisions and procedures identical to real surgery, but without the actual therapeutic intervention, leading to reported improvements in knee pain, angina, and even Parkinson's tremors, sometimes lasting for years. In one unsettling study, patients with stomach ulcers were given a placebo, with the treating doctor displaying a knowing, reassuring confidence. Their ulcers healed at rates comparable to those receiving actual medication. The implications are staggering. The ritual of medicine, the belief in the healer, the expectation of recovery, these aren't just comforting fictions, they are physiological triggers. We're talking about the body's intrinsic pharmacy, kickstarting its own healing mechanisms. It's not just about feeling better, it's about being better. We now know that the anticipation of pain relief, for instance, can activate mu-opioid receptors in the brain, releasing the body's natural painkillers, endorphins. The expectation of a stimulant can increase dopamine levels. Even genetics play a role. Some individuals are wired to respond more strongly to placebos, a fascinating intersection of psychology and inherited biology that we're only just beginning to unravel. But the story doesn't end there. There's a darker mirror image to this phenomenon, the nocebo effect. If belief can heal, can it also harm? Absolutely. Tell someone a harmless substance will cause side effects and they'll often experience them: nausea, headache, even hair loss. In one chilling case, a group of asthma patients were told they would be inhaling a substance that would restrict their airways. They immediately began to experience severe breathing difficulties, even though they were inhaling nothing but vaporized saline. Some even required emergency bronchodilator treatment. The expectation of harm became the reality of harm. This duality, the capacity for both profound healing and genuine affliction through belief alone, forces us to confront an unsettling truth about the human mind's power over our physical selves. It suggests that our conscious and subconscious beliefs are not merely observers of our bodily state, but active participants in shaping it, capable of altering everything from our immune response to the very architecture of our cells. It's not just about symptoms, it's about deeper, fundamental biological processes. How deep does this rabbit hole go? Can belief really extend the lifespan or stave off chronic disease? Research is hinting at answers that are both thrilling and deeply unsettling. This mysterious force casts a long shadow over modern medicine, particularly in the realm of pharmaceutical research. For a new drug to be approved, it must demonstrate efficacy superior to a placebo in rigorous clinical trials. The problem? The placebo effect itself is getting stronger. Over the past few decades, researchers have observed a noticeable increase in placebo response rates in trials for conditions like pain, depression, and anxiety. This means that to prove a drug truly works, it needs to clear an ever higher bar set by the mind's own healing potential. This is a multi-billion-dollar problem for pharmaceutical companies, as perfectly effective drugs might fail to demonstrate sufficient superiority to placebo and never reach the market. It also raises profound ethical questions. If a placebo can genuinely alleviate suffering and even facilitate physiological healing, should it be used more broadly? Is it ethical to prescribe a sugar pill without disclosure? What about the active placebo, where a patient is given a low-dose drug with mild, non-therapeutic side effects, reinforcing the belief that they are receiving significant treatment? The lines blur, the ethical landscape becomes thorny, and the traditional doctor-patient dynamic, built on transparency and scientific fact, is thrown into disarray. Moreover, the existence of the placebo effect redefines what treatment even means. Is it merely the chemical interaction of a drug with a receptor, or is it a complex interplay of the drug, the ritual of medicine, the doctor's empathy, and the patient's own resilient belief system? Perhaps the healing is not solely in the pill, but in the entire therapeutic encounter itself. This paradigm shift suggests that separating mind from body in medicine is not just incomplete, but fundamentally flawed, and that ignoring the power of context, ritual, and expectation in healing is to disregard one of our most potent physiological tools. This knowledge fundamentally changes how we approach patient care, demanding a more holistic view that integrates psychological support and a deeper understanding of human belief alongside conventional treatments. So, where does this leave us? The placebo effect, once dismissed as an illusion, now stands as a stark testament to the mind's profound, often unconscious control over the body. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. How much of our health, our illness, our very experience of reality is shaped by our expectations and beliefs? What if we could consciously harness this power, not for mere symptom management, but for fundamental biological transformation? We stand at the precipice of understanding a force that transcends our current medical paradigms. It's a mystery that continues to unravel, revealing layers of human biology and psychology that are far more interconnected and far less predictable than we ever imagined. The placebo effect isn't just about medicine, it's about the inherent plasticity of human experience, a testament to the fact that sometimes the most potent pharmacy isn't found in a bottle but deep within ourselves. The unsettling truth is that we may have vastly underestimated the power of our own minds, a power that can heal, harm, and ultimately redefine what it means to be well. The exploration of this phenomenon is only just beginning, and with each discovery, the line between tangible and perceived reality becomes a little more blurred. If you want to dive deeper into the hidden powers of the human mind, the next video explores the chilling cases of spontaneous human combustion, another phenomenon science struggles to explain.